Good evening. It's 6 o'clock on Thursday, November 24th, 2016. Welcome and thank you for joining us tonight for the English edition of Aura News, where we bring you today's top stories translated into English every weeknight. Prime Minister Rama commented on the country's economy in today's plenary session as he read the World Bank's report. The Prime Minister said that Albania's economy is increasing thanks to ambitious investments of local and foreign businesses. The World Bank says that Albania's economy increased in 2016, supported by private investments and increased consumer spending. By the end of the year, the economic growth is expected to reach between 3.3 and 3.5%. The fiscal revenue has also increased in 2016, resulting in a reduction of public debt. In the context of economic growth, the public debt will continue to decrease, said the Prime Minister, citing the World Bank's report. But the former Prime Minister accused the current government of plunging the country into corruption and poverty. The former Prime Minister said that the government has increased taxes by 50%, and the revenues are at zero. For the first time since MP Ben Belushi left the Socialist Party, the Prime Minister replied to him saying, "Those who think that the economy can increase by writing fairy tales can continue to write fairy tales, but economic growth will be achieved through the reforms we are making." The former Socialist MP responded by calling the Prime Minister incapable. Assembly Speaker Ilir Meta is paying an official visit to Berlin, where he was received by the President of the German Bundestag, Norbert Lammert. Mr. Meta relayed the most recent developments in Albania to Mr. Lammert, with his main emphasis on both the consensual approval of the constitutional package for reforming the justice system and the positive recommendation from the EC for opening the EU accession negotiations. Mr. Meta expressed his gratitude for Germany's support. The Assembly Speaker spoke of the determination to continue with implementing the judicial reform in the fulfillment of the EC recommendations outlined in the recent progress report, counting on Germany and its Bundestag. The President of the German Bundestag praised Albania's progress so far and added that every country wanting to join the EU will go through difficult stages in order to enhance and align their quality of governance with EU standards. Lammert pointed out that Albania needs to carry on with the reforms according to European standards and confirmed Germany's continuing support. Meta and Lammert also focused their discussions on the latest developments in the region and their shared view that the Berlin process is crucial to preserving the integration's perspective of the Balkans in the EU and for security all across Europe. Dozens of activists protested outside the Parliament building against the controversial law on waste importation, chanting, "We do not want waste in Albania," and "We say no to waste." The activists of the Alliance Against Waste, along with environmentalists and citizens, protested, asking the MPs to weigh the consequences of the integrated waste management law. Their protest started peacefully yesterday evening when they set up tents outside the Assembly building. But tensions rose in the hours before the parliamentary session started as police began to remove some of the protesters' tents. 2 protesters were also taken into custody but released some hours later. One of the detained activists accused the police of using violence against him. The integrated waste management law was not actually included on today's plenary session agenda, and the omission triggered the business associations and the chambers of commerce to react with threats of protests in case the law is not approved in Parliament as soon as possible. The Association of Businesses believes that any further delay is harmful to the country's economy, and Albania's Union of Chambers of Commerce also stated that any unnecessary delay in adopting and implementing the law was detrimental to the businesses engaged in the waste recycling industry. The chairman of the union called on politicians to end the debates and approve the law. Otherwise, he said that the Union of the Chambers of Commerce and the recycling businesses will launch national protests. The President's decree on the waste law initiated debates in today's plenary session, with the opposition MPs asking for the President's decree to be brought to Parliament for a vote. According to the opposition members, the deadline to review the decree has already passed. The vice chairman of the Democratic Party declared that the majority is not bringing the decree to Parliament because it is afraid that the law will not pass and because it does not have the votes needed to approve the law. The Integrated Waste Management Laws Initiating MP, Socialist Edward Schulze, declared that the European Union has already given its opinion on the law, which considers the amendments to be suitable. For this reason, the Socialist MP says that the protesters are rejecting the law because of personal reasons. The MP, Ben Belushi, declared that the regional countries are preparing to bring their waste to Albania. You should bring the law to Parliament and see who is in favor and who is against it. I know why you won't bring the law. You do not have the votes to pass it. Southern Italy and northern Greece are preparing to bring their waste to be brought to Albania. No country in the region has such a law. I know they will say that the EU has asked for this law, but I do not think that the EU would ask Albania to receive waste from Europe if it does not have the capacity to do so, declared MP Belushi. The Socialist MP Arian Brace reminded MP Belushi that his signature in 2004 was in favor of waste importing. The vice chairman of the Parliamentary Commission of Productive Activity, the Democrat MP Gens Rulli, said that Parliament should call an extraordinary session for discussing the waste law. The President's decree has been in Parliament for review since October 14th. The parliamentary majority has not included the law on the agenda for discussion or to vote on it. The Minister of Social Welfare presented the government's strategy on violence against women today and appealed to all women to speak up and denounce violence cases. Under the slogan, "I choose to live without violence," the Minister of Social Welfare launched the national campaign against domestic violence. The minister announced that now the government has a mechanism of protection, the counseling line. Today, we want to increase trust and hope. The campaign we are presenting is, "I choose to live without violence." We want to publicly invite all women to choose to live without violence. This is an appeal for a healthy family and a fair society. The counseling line will offer advice for how society can live without violence, declared the Minister of Social Welfare, inviting women to speak up and make violence cases public. Let's live in a fairer society. Do not be silent. Raise your voice, make your case public, and help women's empowerment. Family is too valuable to harm it. Women and children are too valuable to be hurt. For this reason, we choose to live without violence. Let's be united to live in a society without violence, concluded the minister. According to official data, just over 3,000 domestic violence cases have been discovered and treated this year. The U.S. ambassador was present at the strategy activity, which concluded with the signing of an agreement to establish a counseling line. That's all for our English edition this evening. Please join us again Monday through Saturday at 6 p.m. for your local news in English. My name is Mari, and on behalf of Aura News, thank you and good night.